That's not good. Hey YouTube, what's going on? I'm Greg, welcome to my machine shop. Today is our first in a series of how to trick Fusion360 CAM into doing what we want it to. Fusion360 is really good at creating toolpaths for which it has strategies, but sometimes we want to do things a little differently and it may not be obvious how to get Fusion360 CAM to do what we want. For example, we might look at a toolpath and see ways that we could simplify it to reduce machine time. Or we may want to focus on a small part of the model where Fusion360 CAM is trying to machine more extensively. The situation we'll look at today is one where we want to cut out a 2D profile, but we want it to remain attached to the base stock. We don't want to cut around the entire perimeter because we need an area for it to remain attached to the base stock so the part remains clamped to the work table. This is our second Fusion360 video on our adventure to build the Wallaby twin-cylinder engine. If you're interested in seeing the rest of the series, click on the eye up in the corner and the playlist will be brought up so you can see the other videos in the series. If machining in the home workshop interests you, go ahead and subscribe as there will be more videos coming out soon. Today we're going to be creating the toolpaths and G-code for one of the brackets for the Wallaby engine and then cut it out on the CNC router. Okay, let's jump onto the computer. Okay, let's start by looking at the print. This is the motor mount bracket that mounts to the back side of the engine. It has two 632 clearance holes here that allows us to screw it to the standoffs that we machined earlier. And then there's two more 632 clearance holes here where we use some smaller length 632 screws to secure it to the engine. So our strategy in machining this is taking a 1/4 inch thick plate, clamping it back in this area, and then machining out the profile, but leaving a couple of tabs that we don't machine through so it remains secured to the table throughout the machining operation. We will spot drill this hole and this hole while it's set up in the CNC machine, then cut off the tabs in the back on the bandsaw, drill these holes out on the mill, then mount it in this orientation and drill these two holes out on the mill. Alright, let's take a look at Fusion360. Once we have Fusion360 open up the data panel. Make sure you're in your design directory and select the motor mount end Wallaby. The toolpaths have already been set up in this file here. You notice it's just like the print except we've added two little stubs here. This will allow us to machine the part and having small attachment points to the base stock plate. So let's take a look at how Fusion360 wants to machine this. It would like to machine the entire perimeter, and it would chop this part off from our base plate. So we need to trick Fusion360 into only machining our part and leaving these two little stubs alone. How do we do that? Well, let's look back at our model and the way that these stubs were added. You can see that there's a small notch here put in the model that isolates this top of the stub with the top of the part that we want to machine. This allows us to just select the outline of this part, and this will be machined, and these two stubs will be left alone. To do this, we go into our operation, right-click, Edit. The second tab here allows us to select which item or body we'd like to machine. So select the outline of this part here, click OK, and now you see the tool paths do not machine these two tabs off. This is exactly what we want. Now while we're here, I'm going to show you a couple other things that I've done with this part. You notice that there are three operations here. The first operation is a roughing operation. And by that, what I mean is, go back into Edit, come over to this tab here, and stock to leave. I'm leaving 5/1000ths of material in the radial direction. Okay? Then I have one more operation. Let's take a peek at it. And I have -2/1000ths stock left in the radial direction. And you can see I make a single pass all the way at the bottom of the part. This is a climb mill operation, and it will clean up the outside of the part. This is especially important in the way that we're cutting out this part originally. The first operation is cutting a slot, and as the mills down the slot, it's bouncing back and forth, and it is making a rough cut on our side. It's much faster than if we cut a larger area out here. So using a slot cut in combination with a finishing cut is a very quick way to machine apart a 2D profile and still obtain a smooth surface. The third operation is a drilling operation where we come down and spot drill these two holes. As I mentioned before, my machine does not drill very well, and so I use it to spot drill the point accurately, then take it over to the mill to drill them through. All right, let's go to the CNC machine and watch this part be machined. I've gone ahead and cut out the left motor mount bracket and the right motor mount bracket. The right one you can see just in the top of the screen there, but I wanted to show you what happened when I got a little lackadaisical about where I placed my Y-axis. I didn't think about what would happen to the scrap material being cut away. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Ouch! Fortunately, I was right there and I was able to shut down the machine before the mill caught the part again and flung it across the room and poked somebody's eye out. All right, that's got to be a milestone. We finished machining all of the aluminum parts for the Wallaby Display Base. We also had a stark reminder of the importance of safety in the machine shop. We could have had a piece of scrap material flung across the room. Reminds me when I was a kid watching my sister make chocolate chip cookies and her hair got down into the dough and the mixer ran up the side of her head. Scared her to death. The rest of us thought it was pretty funny, but it's always stuck in my mind and reminded me how dangerous equipment can be. Not to wear sleeves, gloves, always wear our protective eyewear, and also when we're planning out our tool paths to think about where the scrap material will be and whether it will remain attached, as we sometimes assume it would be. So next time, we're going to be taking our wooden box, finishing it, urethaning it, and mounting all of our aluminum parts on it for our base. Until next time, I'm Greg, and thanks for visiting me in my machine shop.